Greetings, my saplings. Alright, so in today's video, we are going to be discussing some tips for copying the Off-White and Nike Halloween-inspired blazers. To be specific, we will be mentioning the first come first serve store list online, then also we'll be mentioning some questions regarding Nike Snkrs, and finally just some updated resale predictions. So as you guys know, Nike decided to kick off October with Nike and Off-White Halloween-inspired blazers. Of course, we have two colorways. We've been talking about these for quite a while now. You guys know we have the All Hallows Eve blazers, and we also have the Grim Reaper blazers. There is approximately 45,000 pairs of each colorway. I believe there's actually a couple thousand more pairs of the All Hallows Eve compared to the Grim Reapers. But my essential point here is that this is actually somewhat decent stock compared to previous Off-White releases, so you definitely do have a chance when it comes to copying these, but it's still nothing significant, so don't count your chickens before they hatch. But anyway, with that introduction out of the way, why don't we jump into the first come first serve store list. So for this portion of the video, I will be telling you what stores are dropping, of course, what time they're going to be dropping, and exactly how they're going to be dropping them, because every store does it differently. And of course, when it comes to the links for all these raffles, there's a bunch of places where you can find the links. For instance, Soul Links has a couple of links for these, and also Soul Retriever has a couple of links for these. You could also just go to the individual social media pages for all these stores. But my pinned tweet actually has a full site list on there with all the links and the times. It was actually created by Soul City. He kind of made a compilation of all the links he found, which was pretty useful, so shout out to him for doing that. So that's where you can find the links, but right now let's talk about how each individual store is going to be releasing them and when. So let's kick it off with 3 a.m. Eastern Time. First of all, we got Dover Street Market London releasing these, and both colorways will be dropping on each of these sites that I'm going to be mentioning. And honestly, when it comes to Dover Street Market London, it's extremely difficult to copy, especially when it comes to copying manually, so don't get your hopes up when it comes to copying on here. In fact, I would only suggest going for Dover Street Market London if you're already going to be up at this time. I really wouldn't recommend going out of your way. I believe there's going to be about 150 pairs for each colorway on Dover Street Market London, somewhere around there, so honestly, that's not significant at all, especially when you're competing with bots. But moving on to the other 3 a.m. release, this one I'm actually a fan of. This is Seoul Box, and the reason I'm a fan of Seoul Box isn't just because I've taken W's off of there, it's mostly just because I think the process is a lot better compared to Dover Street Market London. So what they normally do when it comes to very limited shoes, such as these Off-White sneakers, they actually implement a queue to enter in to purchase the sneakers. Now what you can actually do with the queue here is use the multiple people jig. Yeah, you could definitely use it because it's a randomized process and they do track your cookies. Now unfortunately, they do also track your IP address. But the good thing about this is I've still taken multiple W's off of Seoul Box, and in fact, as of very recently, I got IP banned for the first time, so I can assure you that they do track your IP address, and it wasn't off of Seoul Box, it was actually off of the Jordan 1 release where I copped the Court Purples and the Pine Greens off of Foot Patrol. Foot Patrol does a very similar process, and I didn't get IP banned until like 30 or 40 minutes after the drop, once I had already copped both pairs. So of course it didn't really matter at that time, especially because it's a soft ban that only lasts a couple of hours. So I definitely recommend using the multiple people jig on here, but don't be surprised if you do get IP banned if you use a lot of Chrome users. It's probably going to happen. But anyway, once you get in, of course, you probably will be experiencing some errors, such as not being able to add to cart. This will tend to happen as you get later in the release. If you happen to get lucky and get in really, really early, if you have like a lot of Chrome users, you're most likely going to be able to add to cart rather easily. Also, regarding Foot Patrol, since I was just mentioning them, unfortunately, they are not doing an online release. They normally do it at 3 a.m. Eastern Time. I checked their social media, and unfortunately, it looks like they're doing an in-store raffle only. Anyway, moving on from 3 a.m. Eastern Time, if there's any more stores that come up, I'll be sure to let you guys know on Twitter. But moving on to 8 a.m. Eastern Time, we have Luisa Via Roma dropping both colorways as well. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to Luisa Via Roma, you do need 2,000 LVR points. You might be wondering, Keith, how do I acquire these LVR points? Well, it's very simple. Every dollar spent is 1 LVR point, I believe, or perhaps it's 10. So maybe you have to spend $2,000 to acquire those 2,000 LVR points, which in my opinion is just absolutely ridiculous. Of course, this would make it easier to cop since there's going to be less competition. But of course, if you don't have those 2,000 LVR points, it's probably not going to be a possibility for you to get them. Now let's move on to what's releasing at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, we have Dover Street Market New York now releasing these. And you guys know how I feel about Dover Street Market. You're most likely not going to get anything off of here, but of course, since it's happening at 11 a.m. Eastern time, you're already going to be up, possibly near your computer. So I do recommend trying off of here just because it doesn't hurt to give it a shot. Now, also at 11 a.m. Eastern time, we have Nike Canada releasing these. Of course, you can only order if you're within Canada, or perhaps if you have a VPN and you also have a PO box in Canada. The reason I wanted to mention Nike Canada separate from Nike Snkrs EU and US is because they don't have it the same way. They have it on Nike.com, and through there, it is a first come first serve process, not a Leo drop. Now, moving on to 12 p.m. Eastern time, it is very possible that we will see Blends release these, both colorways, on the Frenzy app. So this isn't confirmed as of now, but just to be safe, if you haven't already, I would recommend downloading the Frenzy app. The Frenzy app is basically just a compilation of a bunch of different stores that can sell through that app. It's very simple. All you guys have to do is set up Apple Pay. Then you could click on a drop or whatever. It will show a countdown. Once they count down, click on the size you want, and you just put your finger on your phone for the Apple Pay. And then if you were fast enough, you would get the pair. Moving on to 1 p.m. Eastern time, though, we have Haven Shop releasing these. Unfortunately, there is no product page up on Haven Shop, but I do know for a fact that they are releasing at 1 p.m. Eastern time online on their website, just because they simply mentioned it on their social media. When it comes to Haven Shop, at least what I've seen with previous Off-White releases, it's just going to be a simple first come first serve process. And if no product page comes up before 1 p.m. Eastern time, you just want to be under that Nike section, and it will automatically most likely be sorted by newest. Otherwise, you could do that manually. And my biggest tip when it comes to here is just to create an account beforehand. Not only that, but just for safety, set up autofill. You guys should already have autofill set up, but for those of you who don't, it's very simple. Let me explain it very briefly. All you guys got to do is open up Google Chrome, then click Settings, scroll down, click Advanced Settings, and then fill in all your address, your email, your phone number, your credit card information and whatnot. So when you're actually purchasing something, all you have to fill out most likely will be your state if it's a selection bar, and then also your security number for your credit card. With that out of the way, though, I also do believe that Essence will be dropping at a random time. But with all the first come first serve stores out of the way, let's move on to some Nike sneakers info, because there were a couple of questions you guys had and I just wanted to clarify a few things. So this is of course regarding Nike Snkrs EU and hopefully Nike Snkrs US. I'm recording this actually the day before October 2nd on October 1st. As of now, there's no product page, but I am expecting it to be a scheduled drop. Of course, if there is no product page that comes up by the time you're watching this video, you might want to get nervous because it is possible that we may see a shock drop at that point. But again, by the time you're watching this video, you'll know what's going down. I'll tweet about it or whatever. But anyway, regarding Nike Snkrs US and EU, you guys know that they do a Leo drop. It's most likely not going to be a draw. They haven't done a draw since the Travis Scott Air Force Ones released. And even before that, they've been doing mostly Leo drops for hyped shoes. Basically, when it comes to this, it appears to be like a first come first serve. When you try to purchase, it will say pending. Basically, at this point, Nike's just randomly selecting whose payment to accept. So your essential goal should be to use as many accounts as possible within a time frame of, I'd say, 2 minutes, 3 minutes perhaps. But I went way more in depth into Nike sneakers in my How to Cop guide, so feel free to check that out if you haven't already. But mostly, I just wanted to address some concerns of you guys that I saw frequently in the comments. A lot of you guys were asking, can we use the same address when it comes to Nike sneakers? Yes, on every single account, you can use the same address. In fact, I've had multiple pairs of the same shoe sent to my address on the same date, and it hasn't been a problem at all. So keep the address the same. You don't have to tamper with it like we do with raffles occasionally. Not only that, but I know a lot of you guys were confused about the payment methods. Unlike the raffles, you do have to change payment method. I recommend using a different one for every single account. So if you have credit cards, one credit card on one account, another credit card on another account, then maybe your PayPal on one account. And finally, the last question, or I guess what I'd say people were confused about that I wanted to address, was regarding getting IP banned. Because if you use a lot of accounts and you're sending too many requests within a small period of time, you will get a temporary soft ban. You will see some weird message on a white screen and you'll get really scared. Of course, I don't want this to happen to you. So the limit is 3 accounts max per IP address. If you want to have more accounts, because that's completely fair, set up a hotspot on your phone, connect another computer to that. Or of course, you could just use multiple devices on long-term evolution. So basically, you just want to turn off Wi-Fi on your phone, or like I mentioned before, set up a hotspot on your phone and connect a separate computer to that hotspot. Have 3 accounts going on one, 3 accounts on another. So hopefully that does clear it up, because I do apologize if I went through that rather quickly last time. I just feel like a lot of you guys have heard this info over and over again, but of course I do want to address this stuff for the new people out there. We always have to look out for you guys too, because this is one big community. But anyway, with that out of the way, let's move on to some updated resale predictions. So if you haven't seen either of my last 2 videos, there was some confusion when it came to these, and I just wanted to clarify some stuff. I am expecting resale for most of the sizes to be hovering around $500, and that still is a conservative estimate. Perhaps they'll go for even more than that. But for some of the worst sizes, it is possible to see potentially some reselling for over 300 to 400 in that range. But either way, my point is, even if hypothetically they do get down to 300, no matter what retailer you're buying from overseas, whatever currency they're charging in, they're still going to be profitable. So I would not stress when going for these pairs. Each size, each colorway, they're both going to be profitable. All the sizes are going to be profitable. Don't sleep on the shoe, especially for personal wear. For me, guys, I'm not going for resale. These things are going straight to feet if I could get them in hand. So I'm really hoping for that. But you know, going manual, like, you do take L's. So even me, I might take an L. It probably will happen. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, and of course you guys too. I just want to wish you guys good luck. But with that, I'm going to conclude today's video. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed, or perhaps if you learned a thing or two. Also, if you happen to be new, make sure you subscribe and turn on post notifications to stay 100% updated on any hype shoe we're going to be talking about in the future. With that though, good luck. Of course, the drops are right around the corner, I'd imagine, when you're watching this video. Of course, some smaller updates will be on my Twitter. My Twitter is KeithAdam10. With that though, I'll see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day.
Get your foot off my foot. Ah. Get your foot off my foot. Yeah. I should have run the other way. Now there's just one thing to say. Get your foot off my foot. Ah. Get your foot